Man, finally able to relax and watch this new movie. Hey, big dummy, how you doing? You want to watch this movie with me?
Is it DC or Marvel?
Neither. It's a crime drama. It's called When the Law Disappeared in Memphis.
It's probably dumb.
How the hell do you know? Did you read a review on it?
No, I can't read. It just doesn't sound very CGI buff action nudity franchise.
You know, big dummy, I think you could really benefit from broadening your horizon when it comes to films. It seems like the only thing you watch are comic book movies and high budget action flicks. There's so much more out there.
Yeah, whatever. I gotta bail anyway. I gotta meet my brother cousins at the IMAX theater.
Oh, cool. What are you guys going to see?
It's the latest DC Marvel Eggo Waffle collaboration flick. Butterman 6. No More Toast.
Well, you guys have a good time.
Yeah, thanks. Enjoy your lame movie.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to Tony's Top 5. I'm Tony, and every week we pick a different topic, and I list my 5 favorite things about that topic. Now, I don't look at myself as an outcast when it comes to new movies coming out. When I see a film and both critics and audiences love it, I'm actually excited to see it. I want to go check out and see what everybody was really fussing about. But every now and then there's a movie that comes out and everybody is absolutely shitting their pants over how good this movie is, and I'm just over here with a dry diaper wondering what I missed. So, what I wanted to do for this week was go over this topic of 5 movies that everyone loves, but I just can't stand. And that's a hard list for me to go over because I know that I'm going to make a lot of people upset because this isn't like a topic where there's a bunch of movies that like so many people that are like movie snobs hate. These are ones that movie snobs love and most audiences love, and I just don't like them. Now, I don't want to say that I hate these movies. Very rarely is there a movie that I hate. But with these movies, it's probably going to be I just don't really like them that much compared to how much they're loved by everyone else. Now, I did lay out a few, well, really just one ground rule for this list. I'm not going with any like franchise type superhero or action movies like that. One, because they're an easy target, and two, with a lot of these films, I didn't see all of them, so I don't want to be like, oh, well, I just saw, and I'm just using as an example. I've never seen any of the John Wick movies, but let's say I saw John Wick 1, and then I'm just going to trash the whole series after that. I don't think that's very fair to the movie, and I try to be fair on this channel. Even though I try to be a critic, I don't want to just dog people just for the sake of dogging them. So without wasting any more time, let's get to number 5 on my list of movies that everyone and their mother loves, but I can't stand. So coming in at number 5 on this list is the movie Lincoln. Now, this movie had everything in it that I should have loved. It had a star-studded cast, it had a great director, and it was a great story. I mean, it starred Daniel Day-Lewis, Tommy Lee Jones, and Sally Field. 3 actors that I absolutely adore. Steven Spielberg, everybody knows him, and if you don't know who Steven Spielberg is, go Wikipedia him right now so that you can join the rest of the world. And then it's about Abraham Lincoln, possibly one of the greatest presidents that ever existed. Most people of most political ideals agree with that. So why didn't I like this film? Well, it was a bit boring. Now, of course, the whole movie centers around after the Emancipation Proclamation and when they're trying to get the 13th Amendment passed so that slavery is outlawed. And their worry is if they wait too long, then a lot of the former Confederate states will come in and block this bill, which is very important history, and it's a great topic. But it's kind of hard to fit in, for me at least, to a blockbuster movie. You know, and what I struggle with so much with this movie is I'm really wanting to love it. I'm paying attention to it. It's a topic that I love, but it almost seems like I was watching an episode of C-SPAN from 1865. And I hate being like that because, like I said, I really wanted to enjoy this film. I remember my sister put it on for me because she saw it in theaters and she loved it. And again, I didn't hate this movie, and I don't even want to say it was a bad movie. I just didn't love it like everyone did. And of course, this movie, I think it did very well at the Oscars. I know Daniel Day-Lewis got Best Actor, um, or Best Actor in a leading role for that film, which was well deserved. I mean, he's Daniel Day-Lewis. He's a great actor. He knows how to play these roles to a T. But again, I just kind of felt myself being like, yeah, this is a okay story. It's very important, but maybe it should have just been a mini series on like the History Channel or something. I just don't know if it was, for me at least, like it should have been a blockbuster movie. It just was kind of just a little bit dry at times. You know, and there's movies that are similar to this that I really loved, like the movie Darkest Hour with Gary Oldman, where it was kind of just this whole movie about procedure and everything, but they added in a lot of excitement too with it to kind of like keep you hooked. And the movie Lincoln just didn't do that for me. So again, this was a movie that I really wanted to love, but at the end of the day, I just found myself being like, I just don't know if I like it that much. So I debated throwing this one in, but it was, you know, it was on my mind, so I added it to the list. So yeah, number 5, Lincoln. Sorry, Steven Spielberg. All right, so number 4 on my list of movies that everyone loves, but I really can't stand, Independence Day. Now, I know I'm going to catch a lot of heat for that, especially from all these 90s babies out there. But again, this was a movie that I saw when I was a little kid, and I thought it was really cool. You know, it was very flashy for a 90s movie with the special effects and everything. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was in it, and there were a lot of catchphrases and stuff like that. But the older I got, the further away I drifted from liking this movie. And I thought that the rest of society would follow me, but they never did. You ask most people, they love this movie. And I don't know, I guess I just had a hard time with it. Now, in all fairness, please cut me some slack. I mean, the movie's about aliens invading Earth in a hostile way. Yeah, we've never seen that before except in 10 million other movies. Oh, but they blew up the White House. The British set the White House on fire in 1812. And where's their big blockbuster flick with Harry Connick Jr. and Randy Quaid? Similar to my last list, I didn't really hate this movie. There were some cool things about it. You know, Jeff Goldblum and Judd Hirsch kind of had this quirky father-son dynamic. And Bill Pullman's speech at the end of the movie that kind of like riled everybody up, that was pretty good too. Oh, and that scene where Adam Baldwin and the other Secret Service agents waste that one alien, that to this day is still pretty awesome.
Is that glass bulletproof? No, sir.
But other than that, I just don't really look at that as this, you know, I don't know, just this like great movie that everyone talks about where they comparing it to like Star Wars and all these other big budget sci-fi flicks. I mean, if I had to make a list of my top 5 sci-fi films from the 90s, I don't think this would be on it. Idea for a future top 5 topic. Everyone I know loves it. I see why they love it. It's a kind of an exciting movie, but it was just never one that I wanted to like add into my list of like great sci-fi movies. You know, I kind of feel bad for adding this in because I know it's going to piss a lot of people off, but at the end of the day, it's just not one of my favorites. Kind of feel like a bad American now. I bashed Lincoln and then I bashed Independence Day. All right, so number 3 on my list of movies that everyone loves but I can't stand, The Blind Side. So everyone knows Hollywood is dull. There's an extreme lack of creativity at times among writers and directors. So if you don't want to do a big franchise action blockbuster flick about comic book heroes or anything along those lines, the next lamest thing to do is a biopic. This country, especially Hollywood and everything, they love biopics. We don't even wait till people die anymore. I've gone on about that before. But I think the main thing that bugged me about this movie, and I don't want to take anything away from Michael Oher. He was a great football player, seemed like a good guy and everything. But when this movie was already being written and, you know, in production, I don't even think he had been drafted by the Ravens yet. He was still in college. So it was just a little bit strange to me that, like, out of all these football players in the universe that have these amazing stories, he gets this movie, and then it ends up turning into this Oscar-nominated, Oscar-winning in some categories film. You know, and some people could say, hey, you're cutting him short. No, I'm not cutting him short. His story's great. But it's not very uncommon for people to grow up in deplorable conditions and then go on to do great things. You know, and when biopics are usually made about people, it's these people that have had this lifetime of accomplishments, you know, like Muhammad Ali, Cleopatra, Abraham Lincoln. Now, the acting for this film was okay. I mean, it had a bunch of different people in there, like I think Tim McGraw and Kathy Bates and a few other people. And obviously the biggest actress in the film was Sandra Bullock. She played his adoptive mother, and she went on to win Best Actress for that role. And she did pretty good. But the main thing about this character was she had a southern accent and she was a no-nonsense person. Well, Sandra Bullock, I'm not taking anything away from her. I guess I am right here, but you know, I'm a big fan of hers, but most of her characters are no-nonsense people. And her dad was from Alabama, so she knew what a southern accent was about. But yeah, maybe I was already forming an opinion about this movie before I even went in to see it. But I really couldn't help it. I couldn't understand why this was getting so much press. It just seemed like a story that has been told a bunch of times before. And I thought it was an alright flick, but I just didn't get why everybody was like losing their mind over how great of a story this was or how original it was. So, yeah. Not the worst movie I've ever seen, but definitely not something that I feel like I need to watch over and over again, or that, you know, I can identify with people when they say, hey, this is a great movie. So shame me all you want.
Shame. 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 Shame.
All right, we're starting to get to the end of this sad list. So number 2 on movies that everyone loves but I can't stand, Birdman. Now, this is the first movie on the list that I genuinely hate. But boy, did the Academy and critics love it. I believe it got like a 90-some% on Rotten Tomatoes. But it was one of those movies that the general public really didn't see that much. So it was like a critic darling. But the audiences were like, whatever. The director for this film was Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu. I did have to look down at that name right there. And he's done some other good work, but this was like the first I had heard of him. And Michael Keaton starred in this movie. So go back to the awards season of 2015 when this movie just came through the Oscars and swept so much of it. And I was like, okay, you know what? I got to give this a try. So a snowstorm was coming in. My brother and I went to Walmart. We bought this movie on DVD. That's how far back we're dating this, because you couldn't stream it at the time. I don't even know if streaming was a thing then. I think it was just getting started. And we watched this, and afterwards we were just left so disappointed. I mean, it was just this bleak story that I don't know. I just couldn't get into it. It was boring. Michael Keaton was okay in it, but it didn't do enough to grab me. Maybe I went in with too high of expectations, but it was one of those films where I just could not understand why the Academy fell in love with it so much. It just kind of left me hanging. I mean, there were a few funny scenes and all that, but other than that, it just, was kind of, they wanted it to be exciting with like the Birdman voice constantly talking to him, and I don't know. Go see it. Let me know if you like it. I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying it. Hey, if you want to be like, why does Tony hate this so much? Go watch it. Maybe you'll figure it out. I am to this day confused about why it got so much press, and was such an Oscar darling, because it was a weird film. I guess the main thing that people loved about it, apparently, other than like one scene, it was all shot like in one single shot. And I guess that's cool. But I mean, if that's why you think a movie is great, then geez, plot and characters and stuff like that really don't mean that much to you. Sorry. But yeah, hated this movie. Definitely had to make the list because the Oscars and the critics and just every other award show just absolutely loved it. Not me. All right, so number 1 on my list of movies that everyone loves, but I just can't stand, The Boondock Saints. Now, this one is a little bit different because this is one that audiences loved, but critics didn't like. It did not do well with critics. It didn't get nominated for any awards or anything like that. And for once, the critics got it right. But yeah, I can't stand this movie. It's such a white guy favorite. I've been in many arguments over this film, and I gave it a bunch of chances. I even think I went and saw the sequel to see if the sequel to it was better. Still hated it. Now, why don't I like this movie? Well, for starters, the film's a bit childish. I mean, it's about these two Irish guys in Boston. Weird, right? And they accidentally kill these Russian mob enforcers, and after that they have this awakening where they hear God's voice, and he's like, purge the city of all evil. And so they go and they basically wipe out the whole city of all the Russian mob and the Italian mob. Okay, God told them to go kill people, and they did it. Apparently the ideals of ISIS are okay if you're two Irish guys. But yeah, it just seemed silly. And I guess what bothers me the most is this film gets kind of put into the same category as movies like The Departed or Reservoir Dogs and stuff. And it's not really a crime drama. It's more of like, it seems like a superhero type flick, or, you know, some type of like, you know, action movie, you know, just with like unrealistic fight scenes and everything. Like there's this one scene everybody loves where they like drop in on like the Russian mob from the ceiling, and they're spinning around in circles shooting everybody. It just seems a bit silly, and I just had a hard time falling in love with the movie. You know, I was just kind of shaking my head the whole time, and I've had so many people comment back to me. They're like, oh, you just didn't like the movie because it was the Italian guys getting killed. Well, here's two things. One, I'm not in the mafia. Two, I'm not part of any type of Italian-American anti-defamation league or anything like that. So I don't really care who gets killed in a movie. If a movie's good, a movie's good. I don't really care what the subject matter is. It just has to be well done. And this movie I just didn't think was that well done. But like I said, it's more of an audience favorite. But it's like even people whose cinematic opinions that I respect, that are close to me, most of the time they still like this movie. And I just can't understand it. I think they have poor judgment when it comes to this one. I don't know why it gets a pass. There's maybe like 2 or 3 scenes in the movie that I think are pretty cool. Willem Dafoe's one of the leading characters in this film. Not like of the 2 leads. He's like I guess he has a supporting role. And he's okay in it, and I'm a big Willem Dafoe fan. But, I mean, I just didn't think that he did enough to really save the movie for me. That's all, you know. Again, I know that's going to make a lot of people mad because so many people love this movie, but just not me. But yeah, similar to what I was saying earlier, I think the main reason I don't like this film is that it gets put in with so many really good crime dramas, and a lot of these dramas are about Irish people killing people, so don't think I'm being prejudiced against that. And I just don't think it belongs there. Like I said, I think it belongs, you know, with your like John Wick type movies and stuff like that are a little bit more action, showy type of movies. You know, maybe if that were the case, if it got categorized with that more, I would like it a little bit better, but it doesn't seem to. It always like floats back in with the crime dramas, and I really don't like that too much. But yeah, don't like the movie. Everybody else does. It makes my list because I'll meet somebody, I'll like talking to them very much, it'll seem like we have a lot in common, and then this gets listed off as one of their favorite movies, and I'm just like, I still like you, and I'm going to hold this against you. But yeah, so that's the list. You know, the 5 movies that everyone loves that I can't stand. I'm sure there'll be other ones that pop up in my head while I'm editing this film right here. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this film. Thank you for watching. And remember, if you have ideas for future top 5s, please put them in the comments. I will consider them. I know there's some good ideas out there that I'm not thinking of. And yeah, so thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.